Hello everyone, and once again welcome to a review, the first one of the Northern Wind Battlepath, in which there's a bunch of whole new Swedish vehicles. So the first review is going to be the CV90 Mk.IV because I absolutely despise the existence of the TML. Now, this is the second ranking vehicle of the Battlepath. You get it at rank 30. And it's Swedish, it's an armoured fighting vehicle, it's got a troop compartment and everything. The most defining characteristics of this vehicle is its quite heavy armour for an autocannon vehicle, a pair of missiles which can be upgraded into a double tap, and the absolutely immense view range this vehicle has, and a powerful autocannon. This is actually the Mk.II's autocannon. Same rate of fire, same accuracy, same damage, same penetration, except it swaps out the Pellet round for high explosive. If that's a good or a bad thing, that's up to you. So the first thing we're going to do is have a look at the upgrades. Now this is stock, as it will take an incredible amount of Battlepath stuff to get up to there. 150 challenges, 50, 115, etc. So as you can see here, there is a smoke grenade. 1-2 second charge reload time. You get the option to install a hard kill APS, which is not common on AFVs of this tier. Only the Griffin and a few of us have one, which means this will give you defense against vehicles using double tap, single fire vehicles, usually lower tier, and it might save your ass on some occasions. And then of course you get the ability to have the AGTM targeting system, which gives you a double tap, launching 2 missiles at the same time. Now whether or not this decreases the missile accuracy, I don't know, but why get the autoloader when you can just double tap everything? Lastly, recon package, troop compartment, improved calling system, the good stuff. So let's compare this to other vehicles of the same tier which can scout. This means that the Bradley can't scout, neither can the Dragoon, neither can the Griffin 120mm, the Griffin 50mm can. The Kriz can't, the Strikers can't, the Buford can, the Mortar can to some extent. The Rosamax are basically terrible, the Sprut can scout, the Stalker can scout, and so can the VBR. These are the vehicles that I would consider worthwhile using in PvP, except for the Kriz, because the Kriz is cancer. So as you can see here, it has the same damage per shot as the Mk.II and the Griffin 50mm, same penetration as well, 240mm, being significantly higher than the Stalker and the VBR, which has a 20mm autocannon. Penetration of 240 means it will go through some MBT sides, but the Griffin 50mm having the greatest penetration here because it has that 25% bonus with the last shot of the magazine. Pretty good slug of hit points as well, 2250, less than the Griffin and the Buford, but better than the Stalker, the VBR and the Sprut, and worse than the Mk.II, but the Mk.II is 50 tons. The armour is actually quite weird, as we will see soon, but what this vehicle really shines is its camouflage. Better camouflage stat than the Griffin 50mm and the Buford and the Stalker, a little bit worse than the VBR. But the VBR is a wheeled vehicle and roughly the same as the Sprut as well. But this is where you can see where the vehicle really starts to shine ahead, is its view range. 485 moving is absolutely massive. You will spot MBTs all the time, and your vision range while stopped, 585, means that you will basically uncap a bush. Which, combined with Erin, means that you may be able to see more than 1.5 bush when scouting people, and will give you an advantage in PvE as well if that's what you're inclined to. Unfortunately, the vision range while stopped is a little bit less. And it basically just completely whacks all of the other vehicles in the same tier, which is genuinely phenomenal, meaning that its camo is really good. Whether or not this is a better scout than a Griffin 50mm is something to be debated. Of course, the Griffin 50mm has the thermal camo, which gives it another bush, which will chonk up its camo, but this does mean that it is a better move-in scout than the Griffin 50mm, but the Griffin 50mm is probably better stationary. Gun depression and elevation, pretty standard, -8, 35, nothing to see here, and its accuracy is less than a Griffin 50mm and the Mortar, but then again it's an autocannon, and in all honesty the relatively heavy slug, 65 damage, means that the only time you'll ever be able to worry about the accuracy is at long range, and by then you'll be constantly swapping between your autocannon and your missiles, so whatever. Now the other defining trait of the CV90 is its armour. As you can see here, its armour is actually really thick, 250mm on the front and 400 to 500 on the front, which means that hold down this vehicle can and will be a Mortar 2. It can go through the Mortar 2's turret, while the Mortar 2 can't really go through its. Its protection versus missiles is, well, whatever. But then again, those are missiles, but with the APS you will have some kind of defense. Of course it will basically be butchered by MBTs, but at least you have some protection versus missiles, and maybe in PvE some of the lower AI vehicles might bounce on the front hull because they auto bounce. Now, other vehicle stats to go through. The 50mm has a pretty good rate of fire and everything, 250, but the Spike LRs are the same as on the Rosamac, which means they have the ability to have a partial reload, they have a quick reload time of 2 seconds, but they are self-guided as well, which makes them really good. And of course, if you are one of those people who does self-guide missiles all the time, I don't think you should, but, well, how am I to say? Velocity of 250 meters per second is neither good nor bad, but 20-second reload time, but the ability to partial reload, I'll take it. Now, the previously defining vehicle of this tier for scouting for me, at the very least on an overall, was the Stalker, and I can say that this is better than the Stalker. No surprise there. Let's dig into the crew stats. Now, there are a couple of commanders you can use for this. As always, Erin should always be the first pick. She has the ability to basically add an extra 8% while moving to the vehicle, moving, stationary, whatever, if no friendly vehicles within 25 meters, which means that 8% added on to the utility is 49% overall and 57% camo while stationary. Of course, that will gradually decrease as you move faster, as AFVs lose camo beyond the first cruising speed, but 8% camo is 8% camo. Otherwise, the CV90 has the ability to deploy infantry. The sniper basically is invisible to just about everything. Camouflage of 80% means that the only time you're ever going to spot it is when it's within 50 meters. I should know. I've taken a CV90, and I've literally haven't seen snipers until I've bumped into them. You have the Mortar squad and the AT squad, and you have Designate Target. Designate Target is basically worthless at this point, so just a sniper or an AT squad instead. Or a Mortar squad if you're inclined, but well, whatever. Other commanders to take while the vehicle, I suppose, are just about other AFV commanders. Of course, if you always want to go completely nuts, there is the option to use Douglas with the Raider Fire buff. And combined with everything else, you can pretty much impersonate a K21. The K21 Douglas build is basically 1500 damage in 3 seconds. It's actually quite funny. Right. Other commanders to use are, of course, if you just simply want to butcher everybody's crews, there's the option of using Zatsiev, and you have a 15% camo if your vehicle doesn't move for over 5 seconds, but this feels like more of a PvE build or something memey, to be honest. We have the option to use Juan to increase the vehicle's view range, but Juan is kind of a discount Erin, so you get what you pay for, and I'd say that Erin's camo bonus of up to 13% very much is better than Juan's spotting skills, but I suppose if you're doing PvE it could work. And then there's also the fun option to use Rashid if you ever want to just start missiling the shit out of everybody. Camo penalty will reduce while firing and all that other good stuff. You could probably get it to about 20%, maybe even more. Might be a good PvE build there, not sure. In terms of retrofits, I would always go for surplus plates, first aid, and an improved fire extinguisher. I have been set on fire in Amarak so many times that I will always say, take the bloody fire extinguisher. If you're going for a spotting build with Erin's base 30% bonus raw foliage, and the active IR optics of 90% basically, of 60% basically means that you will see through a bush. That's it. With Erin and that, you negate a bush the enemy is through. Whether this means you'll be able to negate the thermo camo of a Griffin or whatever, I don't know, but it's always good to have. And I'd also go for electro-absorbing paint, which gives you a camouflage factor of 8% as well, and telescopic lenses to include a view range. If you want to, you could always swap out the active IR optics for a augmented optics, which will bring your optics up quite a bit. I'd say this very much feels like a PvE build in a way, because the AI won't be in bushes a lot, but still 520 and 620 is actually quite good, so results may vary and it's up to you. And if you do want to go through the full Douglas build, advanced MRS, improved barrel lining or gun breach will make your vehicle go absolutely crazy, and missile controls as well. You will basically lose all the camo, but honestly, if you're going to go nuts with Douglas, you might as well go full. A similar build to this can be found on the K21. The K21 with Douglas is 7% extra rate of fire, and the gun breach giving you 20%. It basically just goes up and up and up and up and up and up and up at this point. Now, I believe that is all to say about the CV90. So I have one pre-recorded game to talk about, in which it's actually quite good. It's one of the best games I've had, and another game in which I lament and be annoyed about people, and it's a game I'll have to speak over. So you'll have to listen to my very annoying voice. Anyway, let's get into some games. So unfortunately, due to the way the Armored Warfare replay system is set up, it basically deleted the replay, so we'll have to look through a video I pre-recorded instead. So please be in mind. So this is on base. This is the PvE map with the Chinese temple thing. And unfortunately I've had to... Actually, can we... There we go. So, being a little bit aggressive here, we are moving all the way up. This is a small game. This is where I tend to always be in my AFVs and light vehicles unless the vehicle is moving. This is a pretty powerful position on the map, as it gives you crossfire to quite a few places. And of course, the CV90's missiles simply meaning you can basically just duck people with them. Now, Bradley moving up behind me, our MBTs are moving forwards up to the temple, as they should be. Unfortunately, the enemy gets there first. The Battlepath is actually quite slow, and unfortunately they're going to have to deal with him. They should be able to. The Mk.IV should be able to deal with him alone, and we're simply on Overwatch. The reason I don't deploy my infantry is because we have a Bradley and a BMD2 behind us, so I don't really feel the need to. If they were on their own, I would definitely dump my mechanized infantry behind me, so I would be able to have kind of a safeguard. Unfortunately, we have a Mk.IV Baz moving up just as I'm reloading, whatever it happens. And as you can see, we have finally a Griffin. Now, I think I probably should have switched to my autocannon at this point to hit the Griffin. Sorry, to my missiles at this point to hit the Griffin, as they would have done more damage. The autocannon not really having enough firepower, and of course, I should have actually probably be using my missile instead for the Mk.IV Baz. So there's two missed opportunities there to do some serious damage. As you can see, the Bradley is being shot at by people over there. Enemy Buford. Now you can see the accuracy of the vehicle going around, but it doesn't really matter. It's still 465 done to the Buford. And there is an enemy Kriz. Now, while the Kriz has very good camo, this thing has absolutely incredible optics. So, knowing all that's going on well, I should be able to overpower the Kriz's camo enough with my optics and be able to kill him. Unfortunately, the CV90 does suffer like just about every squishy vehicle, is that the amount of double tap vehicles in tier 8 means that you will die quite a lot. So instead of assaulting him, I'm going to simply go around, use my camo and my optics to be able to spot him at range. And unfortunately the Kriz has done something. He's fired, so I'm going to get him. Regardless, as you can see, the missiles are the same as on the Rosamax, so they absolutely slap the Kriz. He smokes up, he's dead. Now, we're going to go into a little bit about this thing's firepower, which is really fucking good, if I may say so. Now, that Abrams and that Buford are left. I was actually expecting to come around and kill them, but it happens. So this is the reason why I always take AT infantry instead of a sniper with my AFVs. So Buford over there, I was actually predicting I was going to go around and kill him, but there's an Abrams, which means it's basically time to just deploy the AT squad. The Abrams actually falls for it instead of shooting the infantry. Actually, sorry, he's fallen it for now instead of shooting the infantry, and this is where the autocannon comes into play. Remember, this is the same on the Mortar 2, so if you can pretty sure you can butcher something with the Mortar 2's autocannon, you can butcher it with the CV90s. The Abrams now completely distracted by the infantry, and this is where the second part of the autocannon comes into play. And that's an Abrams butchered and 7,500 damage done. There you go, that's what happens. I'm just gonna load in at some point, maybe. No, oh well, we'll just look at it next. Let's take the screen off. So as you can see there, good use of all of the vehicle's characteristics. Unfortunately, like I said before, the vehicle does suffer when it comes to being hit by enemy. The reactor game is something I'm going to show next. Unfortunately, it is using cyberpunk music, but it will be at the end of the video, so you can watch it. As we can see here on base, 7,500 damage done. A nice amount of damage, basically totaled the Abrams and the Kriz, and most of the damage done to the Buford. I would have done more damage to the Griffin 120 if I had used my missiles on him, and I would have been able to hit the Merc as well. Unlike other autocannon vehicles, the autocannon does not feel like simple partial damage, and instead you can really hurt your enemies with it. So, autocannon for fleeing targets, 65 damage is still 65, and the rate of fire is enough to do that. Top of the team, of course, and missiles for enemies that you can hit. Obviously, this will change when I get the double tap, which means I'll have to do another review for it, but okay, a review is a review. Now, before we get into the next game, mistakes were made. This was a game that I was actually somewhat stressed for, so I hope you forgive me. But in the end, I'm just going to say it now, I should have killed that Terminator. So, let's move on to the next game. It's a live recording, and pre-recorded, and I hope you enjoy it, and then we'll come back to the review and to this vehicle.
Me too.
Do you send porn back though?
Of course.
Is it good porn?
I don't know.
I'm going to pretend I heard nothing.
Yeah, so Flooders, just follow Jay around because Jay knows what he's doing.
That's what I'm doing.
Good boy.
Sophie, I'm going to take him to the worst spot possible.
Good.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure we've both learned at this point that Flooders is completely apathetic of everything.
I mean, I haven't played this game in years, and when I did play the game, I played it against bots.
Ready to engage.
Fucking fantastic. I can't help feeling that Sniper would go better somewhere else.
Chris is bullshit. So.
Has it shot you already?
Yep.
Has it hurt your feely
He
wheelies?
only pokes out his fucking gun. Which you cannot shoot and disable, by the way.
I know. That's why it's dumb.
Oh, so they can only poke their rocket, and you can't shoot that? I actually hate that.
The Abrams is having an extreme amount of fun right now. Where's the BMPT though? Why here? Oh, it's a fucking YouTube advert, go away.
Oh my god.
Yes, I have more dank reggae music. I'm happy. Did a bad thing happen, Jay? It's Abrams needs to moose. Did I actually just say moose? Oh my god.
Game crushed. I'm done.
Well. Okay, Abrams, you need to bippity boppity back the fuck up. Like over here. You don't. We just need to hold them here. They're 2 Terminators. Come on. They're really not happy with each other right now, to be honest.
Of course.
Okay, one of the bimps is dead. I think I can move up. Need to kill the fucking beefhead and the pin that guy. Okay, I think the M1A2C is capable of dealing with 1 BMPT frontally. He should be capable of doing that. I need to kill this beefhead though. They don't. What the fuck?
Identify target. Awesome. Target locked on.
Oh god.
Target locked. Identify. Awesome. Tank. Go, go. We're hit. Gunner down. Hit. No pad. Hit our track. Ricochet, no track. Autoloader, hit. Target down.
Got him. Oh! Fuck me, hello.
They nailed it. Smoke grenade.
Run away. That was probably the smart move from the beefhead there, to be honest.
Back in action.
Back up. Kill the SCV. I think we can still do this. Just need to... Come on. I'm just going to push up and so is the CV.
No effect. Ricochet, no effect. No effect.
Come on. Track him, track him, track him, track him, track him, keep him tracked. Slot to missile. 1.
Identify. Awesome. Tank.
2. Good.
No pad. Enemy destroyed.
Okay, he's down.
Turret fixed. Autoloader fixed.
Gonna have to deal with the VCAT next, he's on full health. And the Merc is all the way over there. Mortar's got him. So it's the Merc. Two Mercs actually. Need to get into spawning range of them, otherwise they're gonna kill me. And then point the chassis all the way back, so...
Identify. Awesome. Tank.
Okay, time to bounce. Open up the distance. Back off some. Just keep fucking backing off. Come on. Come on, we can do this. Okay, good bait. Smoke up. Good smoke. Merc is still on full health and so is the Bimp. The Merc is probably using the viaduct for cover. Also that Bimp has literally just done nothing except plink at the ARAMs all day, which is fucking... Okay, the Merc is moving up right now. Where's that going now? He should have moved that by now. I should be able to see where he is.
Identify target.
Where fuck. Yeah, he's got the Abrams. Come on, Striker, just one shot into the Bimp and you've got him. Merc is moving up to go help him.
Identify.
Shit.
Identify target.
Okay. Guess it's now or never.
Identify target.
Did I get... Where did my missile go? Shit. Oh, damn it. I was hoping for the low plate. Right at the end, I get a good CV90 game. Well, thank you for your sacrifice, fellas.
You're welcome.
You've done it for America.
Even though I was playing a German tank.
Even though you're playing a German tank. Well, all the best American scientists were German, so there you go. Wish I'd killed the Terminator though. So, let's just have a look over for the last game. I hope you don't mind, but we're going to look at it again. Doop, 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 doop. Thank you, phone. 9,404 damage done, which is absolutely exceptional. Hell of a lot of damage done to the Abrams and the BMPT and the CV90, which is fantastic. Some damage done to the Buford and the VCAC, but as you can see, the autocannon does in fact work, unlike quite a lot of autocannon vehicles. The Stalker, the Bradley, and the Rosamac do fall into that trap. Simply put, 20 to 30 damage isn't really going to cut it. 65 per shot will. 65, 4 of those, that's 250 damage. That's a lot of damage. Highest on the team there. I do believe that I did more actual spotting to see the enemy than the game says. The game's whole spotting thing is kind of weird, but okay. Total damage done would have been 12k. That fucking Terminator, basically. I do believe that the Merc would have killed me, but taking out the Terminator seemed like the optional choice at the time. Unfortunate miss for his lower plate. And if I had an APS, well, things would have gone differently. Mechanized infantry did 700 spotting damage. Honestly, I think my sniper was basically useless the entire game, and I would have been better off having 80 infantry. But, yes. Final thoughts of this vehicle is that this vehicle basically just completely power creeps the Stalker. The missiles are incredibly accurate, the autocannon is punchy, the view range is massive, and it has infantry, unlike the Stalker. The Stalker was the previous vehicle that I said was probably going to be the best overall AFV. This thing is completely better than it. And for whatever reason, this thing's viewport is high enough that you can spot people without them spotting you. Unfortunately, going up against double taps without that APS is one of the most frustrating things I have played, and it does mean that you will get butchered in AFVs quite a lot. Simply put, they don't have the hit points or the sheer survivability, and while the APS looks to be a nice choice, a 30-second cooldown is pretty decent. Other vehicles go all the way up to 45 or maybe even more. In the end, it's just... I don't think double tap should be present at tier 8. In fact, I don't think double tap should be present in the game at all. But in the end, it happens, and what can you do about it? So yeah, would I recommend this vehicle? Yes. Is it overpowered? Probably. We'll see when I get the double tap upgrade in the APS and everything, since that will change the vehicle's characteristics. If you don't know, a double tap basically launches your missile at the same time, and whether or not those missiles have their flight agility affected, like on the T-15, for instance, the T-15's double taps have their agility is so heavily butchered that when I went back to using the single firing missiles, I was amazed that I could hit people behind ridges. But of course, the self-guided missiles and the double tap does mean that eventually it will be detrimental for gameplay, as the ability to simply just lock onto other AFVs and light tanks while moving and hitting them for 2,000 damage is not something I'd like to see in the game, but it happens. So in the end, we have a vehicle that is actually very good. I've enjoyed my time with it, and I'll be playing it more. So yeah, so thanks for coming everybody. I hope you enjoyed this video and the review. The next one will be the STRV 2000, then the Ghost, then the TML, and then I'll be reviewing the Ghost, this again, and the TML when I have them all fully upgraded. So that's STRV, two Ghosts, 2 TMLs, and 1. That's basically 5 or 6 more reviews. So yeah, if you liked it, like and subscribe. There's always a donation link below if you want to help out with the bills and everything, med stuff. But that's it for now. And as always, see you all next time, and take care out there.
Hostile tank. Identify. Hostile truck. Smoke out. Move, move. Identify target.
Move out. Taking position.
Threat destroyed. Identify. Hostile tank. Identify. Hostile truck. Ricochet, no effect. No effect. Threat destroyed. Reloading. Target eliminated.
Target acquired.